Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Handle with Care, Cancer and Beyond is a podcast that gives everyone and anyone a place to come and keep it real about their cancer experience. Welcome to Handle with Care, Cancer and Beyond.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Handle with Care, Cancer and Beyond. My name is Chris Donovan, the co-host and producer, alongside Carrie Madrid, and today we're going to be joined by Ethan Winner, founder and CEO of ILLUSIO Imaging. Now, he walks us through his augmented reality technology for any patient that's going to get an augmentation. It'll show you the after picture, literally on your body. It's really cool. It's hard to explain. He does it a lot better than I do, so listen up, and if you want to connect with him, go to illusioimaging.com. Thank you all for listening, and enjoy Carrie and myself speaking with Ethan Winner, founder and CEO of ILLUSIO.
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
I'm good, Carrie. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to have you back co-hosting because it's been a few episodes since you've been here with me.
It has. It's been a few episodes. I'm sorry I've missed it. I have kids that are still young.
I know.
And you
don't have to throw in my face that I'm that much older than you.
I wasn't saying you're that much older than me, but I was saying that you did spend a whole bunch of money on like root canals or something the other day.
Oh, God.
Or one of your kids that is actually older than she is out of the house.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me started. Anyways, let's talk about cancer and beyond. So we're going to go in the beyond realm of this show today.
But not root canals. We're not going to do root canals.
We're not doing root canals. I've had enough work in my life. So including breast work. Wow, that was a good segue.
Look at you.
Wow.
Well done.
So I have had a breast reduction, then I had a mastectomy, then I had reconstruction and multiple revisions of said reconstruction, only to wish I had never had any of it done. But in that realm of breast work, we have the CEO of ILLUSIO Imaging, Ethan Winner, with us. How you doing, Ethan?
Great. It's nice to be here with both of you guys.
Yeah, I'm glad you could meet Chris this time. I spoke with Ethan a little earlier, a couple weeks ago, just kind of getting to know each other as my brother works with him. And we had a great discussion about this incredible technology. So we just want to kind of share exactly what ILLUSIO does and is and who it's for. And let's get going. So Ethan, I read on the website, it says world's most advanced breast visualization platform. So talk to us about that.
Well, thankfully, there aren't too many of them out there. So it's pretty easy to rise to the top.
Nice.
The whole concept of breast visualization, honestly, is so people can see what they can look like with different breasts, meaning augmented breast, reconstructed breast. Anytime a doctor is going to get involved and start trying to depict what potential outcomes are without visualization, it's impossible for a patient and a surgeon to be on the same page.
Right.
So, technology is there today with all these great tech people, of which I am none of them, but at least I had the wherewithal to say, hey, there's an idea.
Yeah.
Let's go and find the right people and see if we can build it.
Right.
And that's
so like back in the day, if someone had an augmentation or a reduction or any type of breast surgery, you would get the old school photo album, which some of our listeners may not even know what the heck that is. And you'd flip through a book of before and after photos of somebody else. So this takes that part of it away and allows you to see yourself, right?
Yeah, the before and after pictures is still the status quo. You walk into a surgeon's office and there'll be a photo album on a coffee table in the waiting room. Mm-hmm. And people just start going through and looking at before and afters of other patients, and they find one that they're like, oh, I think that looks great. They tell the doctor, that's what I want to look like. not taking into account that every woman's body's different, weights different, heights different, hips, shoulders, proportions. And then you have things like tissue density and the amount of sag, and have you had kids or not, or breastfed or not, all of these factors that come into it, which basically means there's no way that you can look like the picture of whom you want to look like. The surgeons aren't going to tell them that because the surgeon wants to close the deal and make some money.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, when I was looking at the website, the technology looks like my kids just had braces. They do that 3D mapping like in your mouth. It looks very similar to that. Is it like that?
Absolutely. They're using a very similar imaging platform. I mean, the whole idea, Chris, is instead of saying, what will you look like with a specific implant or specific procedures after going through reconstruction, we developed a system which we take a 3D scan of a patient's breast, we superimpose that scan back on their body, and then enable a platform like a virtual mirror, basically a TV mounted on the wall. And the patient can look into the TV, see herself, but see the scan we just took of her breast, superimposed back on her. She can turn side to side, real time. And then the doctor, by just moving their finger on an iPad screen, can change her breast on her body while she's looking at herself, changing not just volume like blowing up a balloon, but the amount of sag or concavity or cleavage or rotation of breast tissue on a chest wall, all of it. So that the patient, the idea is get to a point where the patient says, wow, that's what I want to look like. And a surgeon says, given your anatomy and your proportions,
that part right there,
I think that's something we can accomplish.
That's
and
so
now they
important.
have the same image.
Yeah, that is so important. And I haven't had augmentation. I've had a reduction 9 years before my breast cancer diagnosis. And I always say I'm built like a linebacker. Like I'm just wide, right? I'm broad shouldered, I'm wide, and my breast tissue naturally is very, very wide. So when I had my reduction, I remember my plastic surgeon showing me like templates of like different shapes. He's like, well, what shape would you like? Do you want your breast to be more cone shape, more round, more this, more that? And I was like, well, hell, I don't know. I mean, how can I look at this little plastic thing and visualize what that's going to look like on my body? And then they showed me photos of before and after on different people. But I was probably 160 pounds. And the photos I saw were people that were 120, had never had kids, were narrow framed. Like you said, not being able to see it on yourself. I mean, it's like a shot in the dark, really.
And even if you could envision it, Carrie, who's to say that the vision you have is the same vision your surgeon has? And most surgeons are pretty good at what they do. They're going to finish surgery, come out of the operating room, go into their patient and say, it looks great, right? Because they did what they thought they were going to do.
Right.
But that's not the same thing as what the patient was expecting. So there's this massive gap.
This reminds me, Chris, of the episode we did with Dr. C from PRMA Plastic Surgery, where he talked about his Breast Advocate app. And it's the whole premise of it is shared decision making. So to me, this software and this idea, this vision goes hand in hand with that premise of really letting the patient be involved on a realistic level, right?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, all the game software out there and all the GTA games where they over embellish these people's parts on their bodies and stuff, that software's been out there forever. I'm surprised it hasn't been used yet. I guess we needed a genius like Ethan to come up with it.
Right?
No, or a fool like me, because you get these ideas and you put it all together, Chris, and you realize at the end of the day, oh, that was the easy part. The hard part is now how do you get a doctor to embrace new technology?
Exactly. Yeah, and I wanted to let you know I hit up a friend of mine, Dr. Jay Calvert, out of he's called Dr. Hockey.
Sure, I know Dr. Calvert.
Yeah, I hit him up. I asked him if he used the software yet because I wanted to get a little bit of information from him, but he didn't say he hasn't used it yet.
He is not. And we've hit him up numerous times. But so Dr. Calvert has a very good brand, very well known, well respected within the industry. But for a guy like me to get in front of a guy like him, and now I'll have to hit you up afterwards, it takes, I would have to probably be physically in his office 10 or 12 times before his front desk person said, okay, you've paid your dues. Now I'll let you talk to my office manager. And then 10 times with the office manager. And then if she likes me and what I'm doing, then maybe she'll show something or say something to Dr. Calvert.
Whoa.
It's an enormous process. And that's why it's hard to break in new stuff.
Yeah. That's why when I heard about this, I was like, of course we want you on the show to talk about it, because I know that the medical community listens from time to time. And Chris and I can tag them in our promos. But I think one of the things I read on the website too is it says in less than 5 minutes, surgeons can capture a 3D scan and show their patients all of the possibilities. That is amazing. I mean, that's quick. So walk us through the process. How does it work?
We run everything on an iPad. Okay. We provide iPads. It's inexpensive. It's an easy mechanism for the software to run on. We come up with updates all the time, and we just patch it through the App Store. We do use a third-party 3D scanner, but it's just a small scanner, a small camera thing that attaches to an iPad. It's not expensive. It's easy. And so that's all the equipment there is, an iPad and a small scanner.
Physicians aren't pulling up. They're not bringing in big machinery to their offices.
There's nothing. It used to be like that, Carrie, where you had to buy this big contraption, $30,000 or $40,000, but now we're way beyond that. In fact, the next phase of all of this is there'll be no need for a 3D scanner because these cameras on the back of the iPhones do it all.
They do.
So right now we're working to optimize this guy here to do all of the scanning for us.
That's fantastic.
And then it is 3 to 5 minutes. It's literally a patient stands there with her hands outwards a little bit, removed from her body. And you take about 30 seconds walking around the front part of your patient with your camera focused on the patient. And you see a grid pattern filling in so you know exactly how much data you've captured. Once we do that, we send that data to a cloud. It gets processed. It gets sent back to the iPad. And then we use what's called augmented reality. Everybody knows about virtual reality, which is all this, digital space. Augmented reality is the combination of the digital world and real world. So we have patients put on a bandeau around their chest, over their breast, and there's an identifiable marker on that bandeau. So now we're using the camera on the back of the iPad. It finds that marker. It superimposes the scan we just took right on the patient. So now the patient can move around, step further away from the camera to see their whole body, step closer, and the 3D scan stays perfectly in proportion.
That is so important, because think about that. When you have either a reduction or an augmentation, you can look from the chest up and go, oh yeah, that looks great. But then when you step back, like the way I'm shaped is all my weight and everything wide on me is up top. And then my hips down are really narrow. So I looked super crazy with these big boobs, which is why I had a reduction in part. So to be able to back up and see your whole body in proportion, like that's so important.
Yeah, it really is. And it's interesting. A lot of women don't think about the width of their hips as something that's going to have perspective on what their breasts look like. But indeed it does.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be able to see everything at once.
Yeah. And I know, because I've worked with doctors all my life, and I've been in clinics both for cancer and non-cancer and cosmetic and non-cosmetic medical necessity with breast surgery. There are some patients that go to surgeons and I know they're like, yep, make me look like that fake girl with the big crazy boobs. And yes, I know I'm going to look ridiculous. That's what I want. And then there's others that want that more natural look. Like when I had my reduction, I said, just make me proportionate. Everyone's like, well, what size are you going to get? I don't care what size. I don't care what the number is. Just make me look proportionate. Yes. And so I think that is so important to have that ability to see the full body is incredible.
It's reversing, again, the status quo. Everybody thinks, what cup size are you?
Yeah.
And if you're going to get implants, how many cc's were the implants? And these numbers don't really mean a whole lot to most people, and it shouldn't. What should matter is, what do you want to look like?
Yeah. What are you going to be comfortable with?
Right.
Looking like, feeling like, how your clothes fit, all that.
And seeing it, not describing it. You may say you want to look natural, but if you were to see on your person, breasts that were more swooped at the top versus a little more bulgy or round at the top, your natural may be someone else's, more round.
Good point.
So words aren't the best way to describe something like this, because it's far too subjective.
Now there's lots of different surgeries out there to augment or change parts of your body. Now, is this just for the breasts right now? Or are you adapting it to the booty too?
Oh, Chris, we're doing all kinds of stuff, man. Just the breast now. We just do aesthetic stuff. We're moving into reconstruction following mastectomy. and then we'll move into other body parts. But on another front, and this is breaking news for you guys. Not a lot of people know about this, but we're also creating a new division that's going to go after fashion industry, lingerie, bras, because everything we're talking about for breasts in terms of the technology can be applied to the bra and lingerie market, which happens to be about 10 times the size as the plastic surgery market.
Wow.
That's smart, because my wife always complains about something not fitting right. And if you could scan it and just make it to her, she'd be
exactly
happy. Yeah.
Let alone the breast cancer
when you start doing
survivors.
research, it's like really well accepted and known. There are about 80% of women wear the wrong size bra.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, this is a question coming from my 12-year-old self.
Yep.
How many times have you scanned yourself and messed around with your own augmentations?
This guy.
Oh my God, a number of times. I don't have to do too much because I'm not envisioning to be something different. But when my 11-year-old son did it, that's when it got interesting.
Oh,
now,
Chris, get it in there.
She's not allowed to touch it.
Oh, that's fun. Chris, the comedian. I
would totally be messing with that software. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, next thing you know, he's going to have his son back there.
I've got snapshots of my 11-year-old boy with someone else's breast on him.
Oh, wow. That's gnarly.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's like.
So I also read that you do have a partnership with Mentor Worldwide, which is part of Johnson & Johnson. What's that about?
So Mentor is the leading breast implant company.
Ah.
And it just makes sense because everything we're doing is really enabling, more purchases of implants. So why not partner with an implant company? They're set to make more money, and they already have the boots on the ground. So when I was talking about Jay Calvert or Dr. Calvert, and I would have to go to his office 10 times and so forth. Mentor doesn't have to do that because they already have an existing relationship with every single plastic surgeon. So they're out there, they're my boots on the ground, and it serves both purposes of it helps me, it helps them. It's a win-win.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I wonder if that could eventually change their way of doing their practice and reversing the way they build the implants and like doing the scan first and getting like the perfect size and then shaping it or something. I don't know. It kind of sounds like it could go that way.
Eventually, I guess it's probably going to be the difference though if they have to charge 10 times as much for the implant if it's fully customized.
Yeah.
But going back to the clothing side of it, now you're really talking about something that makes sense, right?
Oh yeah.
Really custom tailored lingerie, bras, swimwear.
I could see that being huge in the Hollywood industry with special effects makeup and all that stuff. They could make suits and stuff out of. Yeah. Wow. There's so many options.
I'm just thinking too, just in terms of the breast technology on, excuse me, on the clothing side is before my reduction, nothing fit. In high school, prom dresses, my mom had to make them all because my boobs were so much bigger than the rest of my body, right? So I'm just thinking about that, just people who are naturally large. Like my daughter is like a size 2 in clothing, but she wears a size 32 triple D bra. It's kind of the Madrid curse. We all have huge boobs, right? But it's not proportionate to her little tiny body.
Right.
And so trying to find clothing that fits her tiny size, small waist, and she's got to get a medium top and then she's not happy. So, I mean, just people who are naturally large or people in the breast cancer world who have chosen to not have reconstruction and maybe only have one breast. I know a lot of people that only have one breast. And I don't care how good the prostheses are. Sometimes they're just too hot. They're too heavy to wear, or you just don't want them. And so finding clothing for people with one breast, major.
There's no one that specializes. No one's doing that.
There are a few small companies here or there that I am aware of anyway, and they usually specialize in like loungewear or maybe some like sports bras because we don't wear a lot of bras with, we rarely wear a bra with wire just because they hit along the scar lines.
Right.
So there are some companies out there, but it's a very limited, it's mostly bras or loungewear, but I'm talking, I mean, the possibilities of using this technology for t-shirts, right? For pajamas, for blouses. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, you're right. A simple 30-second 3D scan can produce an enormous amount of data. And it's not just linear data, so linear measurements, but volumetric data. So we can know exactly how much volume is in breast tissue. We can know all of the data, the measurement elements. So all the measurements you would typically take for clothing or bras, and add a ton of them, add nipple to nipple. You should know the distance between your breasts.
Yeah.
You should know the gap between your breasts. You should know the relation from your breast to your whole chest wall.
Yeah, when they did my reduction and I had to stand there like a statue and they took all those measurements. And I was like, what is that for? And they explained it to me. It's so important.
Yeah.
You know what I was just thinking about with your technology being able to scan somebody and then look at it and say, okay, here's a starting point where they think they may want to be. And being able to, with the surgeon being able to add volume or define the shape or whatever. I imagine they could also say, if you went with this shape and you're 30 years old, in 20 to 30 years, it may change shape a little bit. And here's what it could look like.
Yes.
Yes.
Not just 30 years. I mean, if you're just coming off the operating room, you probably have 6 weeks to 6 months of some pretty dynamic change, pretty dynamic shifting. So let's see what happens there. The same thing with scarring.
Yeah.
Right? Scarring looks dramatically different in the months following an operation. So somebody should be able to see that transition in scarring from, not looking great. We still have a lot of the suture marks in there. It's getting more red, protruding more, and then subsiding. And so sort of a timeline sliding bar, if you will. Here's what those scars and your body's going to look like over the next 6 months.
That's awesome. I'm just thinking about having flashbacks to my reduction. My boobs were so big before and I'd had 3 kids and there was 10 years between my oldest and my youngest. So you can imagine my breasts were hanging way low, right? So when I came out of surgery for my reduction, I woke up feeling like they were choking me because they went from being down here to being up here. And I was like, oh, what is that? Like, that is not what I asked for. And he was like, calm down, just relax. You're swollen. It's probably going to take 6 to 12 months before they settle. And I was like, holy crap. And you know what? It did take about a full year for them to fully settle into where they were going to be.
So if you had the right visual expectations that were created at the onset, it just would have given you so much more comfort.
Yeah.
And that means that your satisfaction after the surgery would have been higher because your expectations were properly set.
That's it right there. It's a mental game too, whether it's cancer or it's just simple, hey, I want bigger boobs, right? It's still a mind thing. It's still a psychological effect on you.
Yeah. And on elective surgery, a lot of women make bad choices because they don't understand what the outcome is. Even if, a lot of women, a very, very common thing is a woman with larger breasts, maybe they had a few kids or a lot of weight loss and they have saggier breasts and they think that an augmentation, just big implants thrown in there is going to give them the look they want. They do that, and they probably should have had a mastopexy or a breast lift,
right?
Which would have, but they were afraid of the cost and they're afraid of the scarring. So if we can show the timeline on the scarring, we can minimize the fear associated with that. The cost is another factor, and they can just finance it or whatever. But if they understand that those incision marks are big, but it's reasonable, especially over time. And there are other gains, like a lot of larger breasted women have very large areolas. Well, if you're going to have a reduction, you're going to incise that area anyway. And so you can reduce the size of the areola. Nice to be able to see that.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's.
This I was thinking that this could be something that could be like, you could use it for proactive thing. Like if somebody gets diagnosed with breast cancer, they don't know their process. They don't know their journey for the next amount of time. They do like a pre-scan, just to get the scan in there before they actually went through treatment and everything. So if they have to have any sort of mastectomy or anything, they can get reconstruction to exactly what they were. Have you ever had anything like that?
I not exactly like that, Chris, but we've done a lot of market research, and the most interesting women that we've spoken to are ones that have gone through a mastectomy and now the reconstruction, or right in the middle of the two. And I don't get the psychological impact from the aesthetic side the way that I do from discussions on the recon side. What I'm told by those women is the psychology of, oh my God, I have cancer, and oh my God, my breasts are going to be gone. And reconstruction seems crazy to me. If you could take them through a 10-minute visual tour of what the next 12 months could be like, I'm told from them, it's incredibly impactful. Now I'm a guy, so I don't know. All I can say is what I've heard.
Yeah.
But I've had women crying to me about how impactful that would be.
Yeah, it would be very impactful. And as long as the surgeons are on board with being, 100% transparent, because every journey is different in breast cancer, right?
Yes.
Not we all, but if you listen to this show, there's like a bunch of different forms of reconstruction. And so for me, having had deep flap where they cut me hip to hip right above the pubic hairline and removed that free flap of tissue, creating breast mounds, he may have told me that my stretch marks would go from there, from having all those kids to my chest wall. But in the middle of breast cancer decisions, I'm not even thinking about that.
Right.
And so had I had a technology like this that said, hey, Carrie, for your body type and for the radiation and the chemo you've had and the toll that's already been taken on your body, here's what we think are your best options. Here's what it could look like. If they could take that and show me what that deep flap might look like, and then say, but look at the tissue on your stomach. You have stretch marks, or you have a tattoo, or you have whatever it is, a mole. That is now going to be here on your chest wall. Are you okay with that? Oh my God.
Right. And all of that would work because we were actually working with the 3D picture of you. So as your body's stretched and incised and all this stuff, it would do the same thing. So you would see that imagery.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. We need every plastic surgeon in America to have this, and abroad.
I would love that.
So how can people,
or eventually every bra company to have this as an option for their, especially direct-to-consumer bras, sold online.
This could be Victoria's real secret.
Yes.
Because there's no secrets in that store. They show it.
I don't want it to be a secret, but.
I think that the possibilities are endless. Well done. I mean, I'm so excited for what you all can achieve. I hope that we can get as many plastic surgeons to listen to this and contact you as possible. So if someone wants to reach you, the website is illusioimaging.com, correct?
Mm-hmm. And there's a contact us.
Okay. We'll link all that in the show notes so people can easily click there, and we will post all about it on our social media and share. And you got anything else, Chris?
No, I just, this is awesome. I love the software. I mean, I have ideas all the time about new things, and I think this is going to really help a lot of people with their confidence and just the medical field alone. It's going to be great.
I just think there's so many wins here between the fashion industry, the cancer industry, the, cosmetic side of things. I mean, there's so much possibility. It's a win-win-win for everybody.
And if all the software is on your phone, everybody's got the software already. They just have to connect with whoever uses the software.
It's crazy, but it's the metaverse world that things are going towards. I mean, that's going to be a crazy, the metaverse is every time you're using your phone, now you're using it through these emojis and avatars, right? That you're just sort of living in this giant avatar game.
That's so creepy, but cool.
But it's changing the way people think.
It really is.
So
I can have a whole conversation in emojis.
No, they're online already. My son watches them all the time.
Well, it'd be like this podcast, except we would all be doing this with a VR set, and we'd be in the room together. And maybe Chris has a beard going down to his waist at that point because he just decides on that day that's what he wants. And,
I'm gonna dress like Neo from the Matrix.
I'll be Morpheus.
Okay.
Decide who's going to be who.
Oh, I can't with you guys. I got to go back to work. Thank you so much for joining us. We will stay in touch because I want to hear how this progresses. And Chris and I are going to do our best to link you to some plastic surgeons that need to at least take a genuine look at this. It won't take long, right? You're not doing a 6-hour presentation.
Nope. If I had someone on a Zoom demo just like this in 10 minutes, they would know everything they need to know.
Yeah, you showed me a video last time we Zoomed, and it was perfect. Well done.
That's easy.
I'll keep hitting Dr. J's ears.
You got it.
We got you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Handle with Care, Cancer and Beyond. Please let us know what you think of the show by leaving a rating and review. And don't forget to share it with a friend. For more information or to connect with Carrie, go to thecareprojectinc.org.
Can you have zero interest in something and still really want it? Your wallet would say yes. And with Simply Zero from South Carolina Federal Credit Union, you can transfer credit card balances and get 0% intro APR for 12 months. That's right, no interest all year. So you pay less and keep more. To learn more, visit scfederal.org/simplyzero. That's scfederal.org/simplyzero. Variable APR ranges from 11.74% to 17.99% thereafter. Limited time offer restrictions apply.